country. You don't like our flag. What makes you think that we give a damn about that? There's a million pissed off rednecks just like me. And we're all sick and tired of this bullshit on TV.
Happy Hour is a Tell It As It Is series. You may hear some profanity, things you might find offensive, but that's how I am. I have no filter and no problem telling my point of view. I don't discriminate. I'm simply an asshole to everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are now at episode 10. This has been a really fun ride. I have really enjoyed doing this, and I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying the shows as well. Today, we've got some really interesting topics that I want to cover, and I think that some of these topics, which some of them actually brought to my attention, well, not necessarily brought to my attention, I've seen them, but suggested that I talk about on my show. We've got the new Green Deal. So we've got AOC. She's popping up again with the Democrats, coming out with this idiotic plan called the new Green Deal. So we're going to talk about that. And then we have a month after the shutdown, the government shutdown, that is, TSA employees are still owed money. We've got Osama bin Laden's son is now taking over al-Qaeda. We've got this idiotic Momo challenge that's popping up, scaring everybody. And then a very extremely odd, but yet interesting topic. A woman wants to make a handbag from her own skin. I know, right? Gross. So this has been a fun week. We've got some new things going on with Pappy. To get started, I'm really excited to say you can download our shows now or get our apps on iTunes and in your Google Play Store. That way you could stay with me and carry me in your pocket or your purse or your hand or wherever you're going. You've got me with you all the time because I know having Pappy close to your heart makes you a happy person. So I'd like to see if I can get you guys to check your iTunes if you've got an Apple product or Google Play Store, and you can download my app, and it will automatically upload all the new episodes as I upload them. So that's really cool, and I'm excited about the iTunes one because that one really took me a lot of work to get them to approve us because at one point they felt that I was extremely vulgar. So I'm trying to figure that one out because I went back and listened to a few of my first shows, and I couldn't quite figure out where that was. Maybe it's my title of my show when I'm talking about how I'm an asshole to everybody. I don't know. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But I'm getting lots of really cool remarks and messages coming in through our Facebook page. It's Pappy Hour. And it's really amazing to hear some of these people telling me what they like about the show and some suggestions. I'm looking at the map of it shows where all of my shows have been downloaded, and it's really cool to see all of these different states downloading my show. And then, we're starting to make a pretty good breakout in Canada, which is really cool. And then over in Ireland, we've got somebody that's downloaded us 10 times, so that's really cool. And then we've got the United Kingdom, France, Germany, India, Philippines, and Australia. And Liberia. Wow, I got one in Liberia. That one just popped up, so that's really cool. So thank you for everybody abroad also listening to the show. And hopefully, if you want to come on and give some ideas of things you might want to hear about, check it out. You can either email me, ryanaspappy00@gmail.com. You can also message me through the apps, which is really cool. So that's really neat. So thank you everybody for that. I still need some subscribers for my YouTube channel. I've only got 9, but yet I've got over 1,000 downloads of all of our shows. But I've only got 9 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I need your help, people. Come on, Pappy Nation. Let's back me up here. So check it out. It is Ryan is Pappy on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Don't just watch the shows, the videos that we post. Hit that subscribe button. That way, when a new show does come up, it will let you know. So, again, I appreciate everybody for watching all those. Our hot sauce challenge is kind of going through the roof, so that's kind of cool to see that a lot of people are enjoying that one. I get a lot of people that talk about, when I mention my movie reviews and stuff like that I like to, go see, they ask me, what TV shows really do you watch all the time? Now, I am, yes, a big Walking Dead fan. I like Game of Thrones. I like all kinds of TV shows, but I'm really, really, really big on watching TV shows on Travel Channel and Discovery Channel and History Channel because I like those adventure kind of shows. So, again, last week I talked about Lost Gold with Josh and Jesse Feldman, the Feldman brothers. That one's on Amazon, and you can find them. And I need people to help me by going to Travel Channel and requesting more of their shows because I think we need a season 2. We need some follow-ups on some of their expeditions. And then another one that I really watch a lot is called Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates. He looks for treasures, history. He's really, really good about reaching out to everybody. So that one's really cool, and that one's on Travel Channel, so I really do like that one. Then there's a new one coming up that I'm really excited about. It's called Dave Turins Lost Mine. So Dave was actually part of Todd Hoffman's crew in the TV show Gold Rush on Discovery Channel. He was with Todd Hoffman and his crew for 7 seasons. And so he's actually kind of branched out on his own, and he's going out in old mines that have failed or, just kind of, become non-existent, I guess you could say. And he uses his expertise and his experiences and tries to see if he can revitalize that mine. It premieres March 8th on Discovery Channel, so that's going to be a really interesting one I'm really excited about. All right, so let's jump right in and start talking about this new Green Deal thing. Okay, I call it the idiot deal, honestly. So, our Democratic superstar, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I'm just going to keep calling her AOC because I butcher her name like crazy. She has brought one of the most idiotic ideas ever to the table, and she's really, really, really pushing this thing through Congress and trying to get everybody to work on this bill that she's got going on. But before I get into the specifics of it, just so you know, it's already said to cost between $51 trillion and $93 trillion over 10 years. So that's even higher, I believe, than the national debt already. So that's kind of interesting. It says it's already going to cost $8.3 trillion and $12.3 trillion to meet the plans to call to eliminate carbon emissions from power and transportation sectors. Sorry about that. Between $42.8 trillion and $80.6 trillion for the economic agenda, which is providing jobs and healthcare for all. So it's really interesting. And you've heard jokes about AOC and the cows farting, how she doesn't, think that cows should be farting so much because they're destroying the atmosphere. This is part of that whole thing, which is really ridiculous. But there's a plan that's very similar to this that's already passed once before, and a lot of people don't really realize it. So it was passed in 2009 by then President Barack Obama, but it was hidden in his $800 billion American Recovery and Investment Act. So we already had something similar to this in there, and it started to take off, but it kind of, fluttered away, and thank God for it, because, we would be hurt worse than we really are now. But the fact that AOC's gone in and taken bits and pieces from Obama's plan and trying to make it her own, because we all know that she's now a professional at this, because, we know that you can go straight from bartending. I'm not picking up bartenders, but then become a master know-it-all of all of the history of the world, like she claims to be. So it's real funny. But so what this plan, the new Green Deal, really calls for 100% of U.S. power from renewable sources and eliminating greenhouse gas emissions from vehicles and industry in about 10 years. So she wants electric vehicles only within 10 years. No cows farting anywhere within 10 years. I would assume that would be pigs and goats and, anything that we possibly eat that might fart. And then we all know that renewable energy, like solar power and all that, is just really starting to take off. But to be within 10 years, 100% impossible. I see this as a socialist way of attacking our lives, of them trying to control what we can and cannot do. Now, yeah, that's part of the government too, but at the same time, that's where I see freedom gone. If this deal was to pass, gone. It will kill the aviation industry, because obviously you can't have just electric planes transporting, a couple hundred people nonstop from here to New York or, across the world. For you flat earthers, just straight across the world, which is stupid. But it's going to kill the aviation industry, the transportation industry, the trucking industry. So basically, we're going to lose jobs, businesses. I don't know how she's going to keep the cows from farting, unless she's going to come up with this greenhouse protecting way of plugging their butts or something. I don't know. I mean, but there's no more trucking, so we're not going to have goods shipped everywhere. Yes, I know they are working on electric trucks, but that's still years behind before you can get that many trucks 100% electric on the roads. Impossible. Then you've got shipping, and then you transportation, taxis, bus lines, trains. I mean, I know it's ridiculous. It's just absolutely. I can't seem to find anything good about it. Now, I know eventually someday, years and years and years down the road, we might end up getting to that part. 10 years, ridiculous. She wants to transfer all power in vehicles in a decade. It would require replacing all coal, oil, and natural gas plants that are used for electricity generation and transportation. She wants to already over 80% of our energy right now already comes from coal, natural gas. So by enacting this plan, we're going to end up basically going back to the dark ages, because we know it's impossible to get that much of the power grids and all that into this system within 10 years. So we know that's not going to happen. She wants to upgrade every single building to state-of-the-art energy efficiency. So they're all going to need to be solar powered and special kind of installations and stuff like that, which we know, okay, people don't have the money to do all that. Costs just to heat or cool your home are going to skyrocket, which is going to be ridiculous. But wait, that's not all. She wants a living wage for everyone, even those that refuse to work. As long as they want a living wage, they get it. So basically, you could sit on your ass your whole life and do nothing, and get a living wage. Wow. Okay. And let's see what else she was talking about. She promises to increase the power of the labor unions, which, as a business owner in Arizona, we don't really have labor unions. We have some more for the trades like carpentry and mechanics and stuff like that. But in my industry, labor unions have killed a lot of our industry. And I just see giving them more power because it's already difficult to deal with labor unions as it is. Now, there's good things about labor unions and bad things about labor unions. I probably have more bad things, and that would be like a whole show on its own about talking about labor unions. But she would do that. Employers, she wants them to be required to give family and medical leave, paid vacations, and retirement security. Now, in my industry, in the security industry, that's unheard of. I mean, we do occasionally from time to time can afford to do the paid vacation thing. Family and medical leave is really hard to do in our industry because we're contract as needed. And it's not like, we're a restaurant and we have 20 employees, and if 5 of them call off, we can still run. We have specific times we have to be there to protect property and people. And if there's nobody there and something happens, boom, we're in trouble. And it's not like we have 20 people sitting around all day long doing nothing, waiting to work. So it does create a problem for industries like mine. And there's going to be many, many other industries out there that are probably just going to go away and become strictly technology only because that's all they can afford. She wants to give free healthcare to everyone. So again, you could sit on your ass, do nothing, and earn a living wage and get free healthcare. Wow. But how are we going to pay for this? That's what everybody wants to know, because the money's got to come from somewhere, right? Obviously, it's going to come from the people that are working to give these people that don't want to work a living wage. Taxes on everything can go up 70% to 100% to pay for this, which is absolutely ridiculous. So then you couldn't even afford to buy anything. So if you're out there going out to buy a new car for $20,000 and you've got taxes on it, well, then you've just bought a $40,000 car. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And even if this plan was to happen, and even if it was to actually work, which we know it's not going to, but even if it was actually going to work, and they eliminate all of the United States carbon dioxide, it still wouldn't curb that so-called quote, and I'm like throwing my fingers up because I love to quote Democrats, global warming. It wouldn't curb it because China already exceeds our usage now. Other countries would offset our carbon dioxide usage and emissions, so they're still going to rise. So unless this was a worldwide thing, which we know can't happen because you've got countries that can't even afford to run anything clean at all, then obviously it's not going to work. Again, it's going to raise the prices to heat and cool your houses. Now in Arizona, it's already expensive as it is for us to keep our houses cool in the summertime because, we hit that 120 degree weather, and we maintain that 110 for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 110 plus. Now in the wintertime, it's not as expensive, but we do have areas in Arizona, and we do have our moments where it does really get cold, and we're not used to that, so we've got to heat our houses up a bit. But then there's states where they rely on and they need to heat, and then they've got the cooling issues in the summertime as well. So it's going to be almost impossible to do that. It would also raise the cost for businesses, farmers, government organizations. So they would have to drive up their prices. So then this whole thing, you've got, let's just use McDonald's, for example. Now, I'm not picking on McDonald's, but they've got their dollar menu. Now, in Arizona, because the minimum wage is going up so high, we're already starting to lose these dollar menu items. So just imagine you go to McDonald's and for that $1 hot and spicy McChicken sandwich that you used to get, it's going to cost you $10. It's going to be ridiculous because people can't afford to go out and eat anymore. They won't be able to afford to even grocery shop because the price of meat's going to go through the roof. The price of vegetables, fruits, all that stuff's going to go through the roof because they're having to offset their prices for those increasing costs and having to transfer everything to renewable energy. Now, I'm totally for solar power. Arizona solar power is great because we've got, almost 365 days of sunlight. We've got very few days where it's just pitch, cloudy, but we can still charge because we've got enough, light coming through. I get that, and that's great. I would love to have solar powered home, but it's expensive. But to require everybody to be on that, I just don't think it's going to work. Let's see here. I'm looking at my notes here. Now, as you can see, it's not only is this an idiotic idea. It will completely kill the U.S. economy. So if you think that we're one of the bigger, better nations now, just imagine if this particular kind of plan, and just from my readings of it, and I actually printed out her plan itself, and from my readings of it, we're going to go back to the Dark Ages. I kid you not. It'll basically be every man for themselves. I honestly think this particular type of plan would actually cause the United States to break apart. I think it would cause civil war. I think it would cause, states seceding from the Union, which there are already states that want to do this. Well, this is just going to give them more power to do that. But one of the things that AOC said that really, really just pisses Pappy off, and not just me, she's already pissing off a lot of people in her own party by saying this, okay? So, and she actually tweeted this, okay? So if you don't believe me, you can look it up, okay? It said, yup, if you don't like the Green New Deal, then come up with your own ambitious, on-scale proposal and address the global climate crisis. Until then, we're in charge, and you're just shouting from the cheap seats. What the hell, AOC? You've only been on the job for a few months, and now you think you're like some expert. But then again, too, James Wood, he's an actor, been in all kinds of movies. He couldn't have said it better. Now, here's the interesting thing. He's actually a Democrat himself, and he's very good about being well outspoken against his own party as well as the Republican Party. And, there are several Democrats that, I actually think are doing a great job. And, I kind of agree with a lot of their ideals too. But at the same time, very Republican, very right wing. I rootin', tootin', Second Amendment, First Amendment, kind of thing. But James Wood, love this guy. He couldn't have said any better. Okay, he tweeted her back. And he says, so, you may have missed this, but the way it works in America is you work for us. The last time somebody told Americans to sit down and shut up was 1776. So if you ever learn to read a book, look it up. You are not only an idiot, you're an arrogant idiot, and there is nothing more dangerous. So shout out to you, Mr. Woods. You are absolutely correct. It amazes me that AOC, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have lots of interesting topics through my shows coming up about AOC, because she never ceases to amaze me. I don't get it. I don't know what the hell they were thinking when they voted her in, and I'm pretty sure they're all shaking their heads now, wishing they hadn't. So now, I've talked about the government shutdown a couple times on my shows, and I told you guys, and you heard it from Pappy, you heard it from me, the government is not going to take care of these people that they're requiring to work during the shutdown. I said it. Okay. And it's true. Okay. More than a month after the longest shutdown in U.S. history ended, a significant number of TSA employees still have not received all of their back pay that they are owed. There's more than 1,000 TSA employees that are still waiting to be paid in full. Government officials are now claiming the delay was caused in part due to an unusual move during the shutdown to pay a partial paycheck to keep them on the job. Now, you heard nothing about anything about partial paychecks during this whole shutdown, which is interesting. So I don't really know if the TSA statement where they say we gave partial checks to people is actually true, because why would these people still not be working if they were receiving something? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know I wouldn't be working if I only got a partial paycheck, but we didn't hear about that. So, then again, I might have missed it. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I just don't think that. But when the shutdown ended, President Trump said issuing back pay to federal employees would be priority, and the Office of Management of Budget instructed agencies to prioritize repaying its employees. Now, TSA states of the 60,000 employees they have, approximately 1,000 throughout the country require some sort of pay correction. TSA states that the delay is a self-inflicted wound due to that decision to give that partial pay during the shutdown. They say that all accounting right now is being done manually by hand to ensure that those that received partial pay are not overpaid. Now, they have not stated when they expect to get all these TSA employees' pay caught up, but there's lots of reports of TSA employees saying they still haven't even gotten paid for that whole month. So I don't know how that's a payroll correction when you still haven't received any money for a whole month. And I'm sure it isn't the only issue. I'm sure it's being created loss of homes for these people, cars, personal items. They probably had to sell things just so they can afford to eat. I don't think it'll ever be corrected. I really don't. Even if everybody does receive their pay, the problem is still there. These people are still massively in debt now because the government couldn't come together and put it together a budget. And like I said before, it's not the politicians that were hurt either. Politicians, I was reading something, and I'm trying to find more facts on it, but they say there's like 200 something politicians in Congress, in the House, all that are millionaires. Okay, now I don't know how they became millionaires on the budgets and the pay that they received there, but that just shows that there's a reason why they didn't care that the shutdown happened, because it's not going to affect them at all. Now, it was also promised by Trump that all the TSA agents that were still working during that thing would receive a $500 bonus. And there's reports that $500 bonus still hasn't happened. So not exactly sure what's going on with getting these people paid, why it's such a problem, but I don't think government officials realize if TSA walks off the job, the whole airline industry is shut down until they come up with another plan and hire private security. But then you've got training, you got background checks, you got all this stuff to do. It could be months before we get back on track. It could be years. Apologize. But I don't think the government officials are really realizing the severity of the TSA and what they could do to cripple the economy if they were all to walk out one day. Honestly, they can probably walk out just for a couple hours and cripple the economy like no other. So I think government officials need to get their head out of their asses. Yes, I said it. Get their head out of their asses and get this thing taken care of. Get these people paid. And if I was a representative of Arizona, I would be fighting tooth and nail, screaming. I would be calling whoever I had to call every single day until all of my TSA agents in Arizona got paid. Because you know what? Those people hired me to do a job, and I'm going to do it. But that's me. Maybe I have these things called morals, ethics, that just don't seem to really be there anymore. Because, again, it didn't affect them. So that's something to think about. Now, we all know we killed Osama bin Laden in 2011. It was a great day. But it wasn't the end of the ISIS battle, we know. So now his son, or one of his sons, okay, is emerging as the leader of al-Qaeda now. According to the U.S. State Department, they're already offering $1 million for information on his whereabouts. I'm probably going to, I don't know if I'm going to say his first name, Hamza, Hamza, Hamza bin Laden, whose father, Osama, was killed by U.S. Navy SEALs in Pakistan in 2011, has already started to take the reins of the terrorist group. He's already released audio and video messages on the internet calling on his followers to launch attacks against the United States and its Western allies. He has threatened attacks in revenge for killing of his father. And he's been doing that since his father was actually killed, but more so recently. Now, in 2011, they seized all kinds of paperwork and stuff like that in Osama bin Laden's hideout where they killed him. And it already showed that in that paperwork then that he was already grooming Hamza to take over for him of al-Qaeda. So it was already known that this guy was going to be an issue. So I'm wondering exactly how much the State Department has actually been watching this guy since. But what's really interesting about Hamza is he's married to the daughter of Mohammed Atta, A-T-T-A. Atta? He was the lead hijacker in the September 2001 attacks on the World Trade Center. So that's kind of interesting. The U.S. officials are estimating that he's between the age of 30 and 33. So they don't even know how old this kid really is. But they believe that he was born sometime after Afghanistan was able to get Russia out of Afghanistan. So they figured it was around that timeline. But it's been known, and he's not shy about it, that he wants to avenge his father's death. He's been seen on video many times saying, what is correct is coming to you, and its punishment is severe. So in January 2017, they actually designated Hamza bin Laden as a specially designated global terrorist. So they froze all of his assets in the U.S., which I don't know how Hamza has assets in the U.S., but it's said that he officially joined al-Qaeda in 2015. But he's been involved with them since 2001, and that's when they started seeing him in the videos with his father and doing little training things, shooting guns, preaching, and all that stuff. And then even Saudi Arabia announced that they've revoked his citizenship, which they revoked Osama bin Laden's right after 9/11. So I would think that they would have revoked his whole family's right around that time, but I don't know how they work with that. So now we have this Babyface terrorist. And I think he's going to appeal to that younger crowd that they're trying to bring in and trying to, what I call, seduce them into believing the ideals of al-Qaeda and getting them to hate America, or more so hate America more than they do now. He's bent on avenging his father, whom him and many other al-Qaeda supporters praise and believe to be sent from Muhammad to free them from the so-called oppression of the Western world. Now, as we know, al-Qaeda is still very much a powerful, group. ISIS is out there. And, we know that they have sleeper cells in America, and they're here. And, the State Department puts in hours and hours of resources trying to hunt, investigate, and all that stuff. So I have faith that our military and our U.S. Department, the Department of State, I have faith that they're going to hunt down this guy and they're going to neutralize him. So just like they did with his father. So I just want to yell out, America, because we know this guy is a threat, but just like the others, we'll take care of it. Now, there's been this new challenge and this one actually came from a Pappy fan. He said, "Hey, Ryan, have you gone out and checked out anything on this Momo challenge?" And I like, Momo challenge. And I know I started hearing things about it, but I really wasn't paying attention to what the Momo challenge was. And having two little kids and hearing that the Momo challenge involves little kids, of course, I got to investigate. Then I got to tell you guys about it. So there's been recent news of this Momo challenge. It's said to have been seen on YouTube and on YouTube Kids. During videos, Momo appears. Now, if you've seen pictures of it, Momo's some creepy ass looking womany thing that's like a long, slender face. Really a creepy ass. I'm just telling you, creepy. But she's said to appear during videos that tells kids how to kill themselves. How to commit suicide. Now, YouTube states that it has no proof that the Momo challenge has actually shown up anywhere on their service. Some have said that kids have come across the googly-eyed monster playing Minecraft or watching videos related to Roblox, Roblox, or on the WhatsApp. Investigators say the challenge stems from the WhatsApp, not necessarily YouTube. And the reason the scare has gotten so big about this Momo challenge is social media, because people grab it and I see things get shared so fast before they're actually read to find out, I don't know how many times I've gone on Facebook and I'll read something. Oh my God, this person died. Yada yada. It's so sad. Was a great person. But then you read the article, the guy died 20 years ago. Or, they don't necessarily read what the actual thing is. Now, I don't open a lot of those things because I hear that a lot of those actually bring in viruses and all that. So I believe this whole Momo thing has been created by people that are wanting to attack computers with viruses by opening up their programs or their articles and say, click here. Oh, what's your date of birth or something, so we can verify you're old enough to read this, and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, you're infected with a virus. And we know that a lot of viruses come through Facebook. That's my opinion. Now, I'm probably right because usually I am. I'm just saying, throwing it out there. But there's another story with the Momo challenge that says a pediatrician reportedly found an instructional suicide video inside of a Peppa Pig episode, which we talked about last weekend, didn't we? Yeah. So she worked with YouTube and got it removed. Now, it's very easy to take videos from YouTube and from other places and put stuff in the middle of it, subliminal stuff and ads and all this stuff, and then throw it up on YouTube and before it gets found and take it down. But by then it could have gone viral and be seen by hundreds of thousands of people. And then it could have been shared. It could have been downloaded by them. And there's ways to do that. Peppa Pig's U.S. distributor has not responded to any remarks right now from any TV stations or anybody that's reporting and investigating on this as to whether or not there's actually a Momo issue with their Peppa Pig episodes. So that's kind of interesting. YouTube Kids and YouTube, they've added around 10,000 staff members to personally monitor content in an effort to remove anything obscene and any inappropriate videos. So, it's they've got a really good team in place that all they do is watch all these different videos, especially ones that have just been uploaded, to make sure that they're safe content. Now, I let my kids watch YouTube and YouTube Kids. My kids are really big on watching Ryan's Toy Review, JoJo Siwa, Crazy Grandma. They like to watch those little things where people open up mystery candies and find toys and all that stuff. They like to do that stuff. But this kind of got me watching them a little bit closer. Now, even YouTube Kids, if these things are popping up on YouTube Kids, it's just as unsafe. So what other alternatives do we have for allowing our kids? Maybe the Disney, they have their episodes. There's other markets that are out there, ABC Mouse and stuff like that. Maybe we should just do that with our kids instead of just letting them randomly watch whatever YouTube. And what's really interesting is my kids can be watching something for Brian's Toy Review, which got some really cute stuff on it. And then the next thing you know, they're watching people pop pimples. Then the next thing you know, they're watching ghost stuff. And it's not like it's consistent with that. So it's really interesting to see that. So I'm being a little bit more cautious with my kids with what they watch, and I kind of watch what they watch too to make sure they're not getting anything dark. But if anybody's ever come across the Momo thing, do me a favor, drop me a line, let me know what video you saw in it. I'm going to see if I can find it. I've actually been trying to find Momo videos so that I can see what it is, but again, I'm not able to find it, and I'm hoping YouTube and all these other video marketing groups or video platforms like that, are actually finding these fast and they're getting rid of them. So I applaud YouTube for really, taking an effort and really putting a lot into this. I gotta applaud those people that watch a lot of really weird videos all day long. I don't think I could do that. I really don't. All right, so then we've got another really cool, well, actually more of a gory story about this woman that wants a handbag made out of her own skin. I kid you not. Okay. Now, all I could think of is Joe Dirt. It puts the lotion on its skin. It does what it's told to. That's all I envisioned when I first opened up the article. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. All right. And I've heard crazy crap before, but this might just be the top. A woman is trying to find a designer who will make a handbag out of her own skin from her amputated leg. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I mean, you can't make this up. Oh, holy hell. So she had her leg amputated. 55-year-old woman. She's from Manchester, England. She had peripheral, PERIPHERAL, peripheral arterial disease, whatever that is. And so they had to amputate her leg. So she set a budget of $3,900 for someone to design and make the handbag for her. So somebody's got to hold her leg, skin the leg, and make a handbag out of her skin. She got the idea when she read about a human waste scandal where they just dump body parts to rot. And she thought, I can't let that just happen to my leg. Kid you not, people. So she's already made out sketches of what she's looking for. She says the leg is a part of her and she wants to keep it. And she also mentions that her family's not very, keen on the idea of her leg being turned into a handbag. Now, I can see how it's personal for her. Yeah, it's her body part. She wants to keep it. But then it's pretty damn creepy. And honestly, who knows how to make handbags from human skin? I mean, would it be the same as maybe finding someone that knows how to use cowhide and leather and all that stuff. I don't get it. So hopefully this lady gets her handbag made from her leg. And I can just see it now. Hey, that's an interesting bag. What is it? My left leg. I don't know. Woo. But who am I to tell her that she can't do it? But yeah. Now it's time for me to rant. That's right. It is time for you to listen to me rant about something. Now, I am losing faith in humanity. It's just something, I work in an industry where I deal with people all the time. And I've seen so much in there that I pray to God people would never have to see in their lifetimes. But then you turn on the TV, you read the news, and you hear about hate crimes, assaults, abused people that were killed. It's plain ugliness. I don't get it. I mean, I know it's always been there, but it seems like, maybe we started getting dumbed down to it. I don't know that that's the way to say it, but more so where it just didn't bother us so much. But now it seems to be really popping out. Or maybe it's just because, I start to acknowledge those things now because I got two littles. I got my older kids, so I worry about both sides of it. And being in my industry and teaching people about this stuff, maybe I've opened my eyes up to a little bit more. But one of the things, for instance, in New York, it's against the law to use lethal injection to terminate the life of someone on death row. Because they think that's unconstitutional, it's inhumane, all that stuff. But yet, they approved late-term abortions. Now, I'm not one... Abortion's something I've never really been able to say yay or nay on. I'm kind of on the fence because I've got my pros and cons on it, but that's a whole different ball game. Anyways, so they approved late-term abortions. So even if a baby is alive at the time of the abortion, there will be no life-saving measures. So we can have a baby literally suffer to death, but we can't put somebody that killed people that's on death row to death. What the hell? I don't get it. I mean, there's not a day that goes by where you can't turn on and see ugliness on the news. It would be amazing. Just one day, or maybe just one time I can click on the news or read the paper on the computer, of course, or watch the news and not see something ugly. It would be just awesome. Just one time. And then maybe, just maybe, I could start to renew that tiny speck of faith in humanity that I already had. I don't know. I mean, it's sad. It's sad. All right, so my story of the week. I actually had a really cool adventure this last weekend. A lot of you know, again, I'm into rocks, minerals, gold, adventures, all that stuff. So Mammy and I went to the GPAA, the Gold Prospectors Association Gold Show this weekend in Phoenix. And I've been a member for years. And you know what? I said, I like this. I like what they stand for, which, promoting gold. But then at the same time, we promote cleanup of land and, taking care of land. I apologize. Sorry about that. And so I became a life member. So that's exciting. So that means I've always got my gold magazines, my gold shows, my gold claims that I get to go out and, gold panning, sluicing, all that stuff. Bought my first recirculating sluice, and I've been saving up for a long time for one of these. And so I'm excited about that. Met some really cool people, great contacts. Met some people up in the Prescott area that I'm actually going to be able to go visit and learn more about gold panning and all that stuff. So the gold show was really cool. Got to see all kinds of different techniques and machines, for getting gold out of the ground and stuff like that. And that excites me. It really does. And I got to meet another one of my favorite treasure hunters while I was out there. His name is Woody Wampler. Wampler, Wampler. So Woody is actually part of the group of Legends of the Superstition Mountains. They were on YouTube. They actually had a show, Legends of the Superstition Mountains, on Discovery, I believe, or Travel Channel, one of those two, a little while back. It did not get renewed, but Wayne Tuttle and Frank Augustine are part of that thing, and they actually produce their own series now through YouTube. And these guys are great. I love listening to them talking about the Lost Dutchman mine, which is what they're chasing in the Superstition Mountains. So, but to be able to meet Woody Wampler was really cool for me because, you know, he is one of the people, if you're in gold prospecting in Arizona and you know anything gold prospecting in Arizona and you say the name Woody Wampler, people know who Woody is. So shout out to you, Woody. It was awesome meeting you. Hopefully you listen to the show and, you know, maybe I can come up, do an interview with you and we could talk about experiences and stuff like that because y'all, as I mentioned in the last show, Pappy Universe, I've got that show coming out called Adventures with Pappy, where we're going to be going out doing these things and, trying to be educational, get my kids involved with it too. I even bought my littles their own itty bitty little gold pans this last weekend. So I'm excited. I can't wait to get them involved with it. So it was a lot of fun. So yeah, the Gold Prospectors Association is really cool. There's actually on YouTube, you can type in Gold Fever Show, and you can see Tom Massey, and there's some shows, his dad, Larry Massey, which they started the association, and you can see Tom Massey talking about how to find gold and all that. I love watching his shows. So if you get a chance, check it out, Gold Fever. But definitely check out Legends of the Superstition Mountains. I believe it's also Chasing the Legends of the Superstition Mountains might come up as well. So, that was cool. That was my story of the week. Now we get on to my random thoughts. Now, what's fun about some of these random thoughts is get people emailing me their theory on some of my random thoughts. So it's really cool to see what people are saying with that. So I've got 3 of them for you today. So this is really cool. If a number 2 pencil is the most popular, why is it still number 2? I've never really understood that. You know, I never seen a number 1 pencil. I've never seen a number 3 and number 4. I've only seen number 2 pencils. So, but why is number 2 number 1, but not number 1? I know, mind blown, right? Let's see here. Did you know that Captain Crunch has a real name? His name is Horatio Magellan Crunch, and his ship is the USS Guppy. Captain Crunch, the cereal. Mind blown, right? I mean, he has a whole story backline and everything, too. It's really interesting. You might want to check it out. Now, this one's really cool. This one I read, and I actually checked it a couple times on a couple different ways to make sure this is legit. So this is really cool. Chicago's nickname, the Windy City, has nothing to do with wind. It was first coined by 19th century journalists to describe the people who find themselves the city's elite. It was meant as criticism, as they were referring to those people as hot or full of hot air. So that was interesting. So I've actually had a few people ask me to come back and bring up my security thought of the week as well. So I look for a lot of things. I do a lot of business on Craigslist from time to time. And so I got to thinking, maybe I should do something on that. And so if you buy or sell anything through Craigslist or other private buying platforms like that, I always tell people, I've had people say, hey, can I come to your house and see this item? I'm like, no, I'll meet you at a location, Starbucks or something, and always meet them in a public location with lots of people around, never let them come to your house to see what you're selling, because then what if they're scoping you out and seeing what else you have? Never give them your address. Never show them your ID. I mean, if you show them your ID, don't let them write your driver's license, date of birth down, your address, all that stuff. If you sell a car, get everything that might have your address and all that out of your car. And if you're buying and somebody says, hey, just come to my house and look at it, if they're not willing to meet you someplace else, probably a good idea not to buy that item. So that's just my security thought of the week. So hopefully that brought to light a few things. Next week, or this week in general, within this week up to next week, we're going to be releasing our first episode of Conspiracies with Pappy. Conspiracies with Pappy. I don't know. I can't make it sound, creepy. Anyways, it's coming. I've got a lot of people saying, when's it coming? When's it coming? Believe it or not, the hardest part for me was finding the right way to introduce this show through with the introduction song and my opening segment of it. So that was the hardest part of putting that one together. But our first show is going to be about the Denver International Airport and the conspiracy surrounding it. And this one's really interesting. So I'm really excited about this format. Conspiracies have always been really intriguing for me, really interested me. And I like to look at the history part of it too. Conspiracies aren't necessarily all that we're going to cover, deep, dark stuff like that. It could be lost treasure. Sorry, hiccups. It can be lost treasures, which are conspiracy in sight. So that's pretty much it for my show today. I appreciate everybody for listening and hanging out with me for the last hour. I really hope that you guys continue to listen, check us out. Again, look up Facebook. Okay, it's Pappy Hour. Like the page. Send me some messages. You can email me, ryanispappy00@gmail.com. But you can also do that through the apps. That's right. I'm excited. I have an app. That's right. Well, I've got two. If you think about it, iTunes and Google Play Store. And you can even download it on the computer too if you want it, so that you can have the app on your computer. Carry me around with you everywhere you go. Share your experiences with me. Give me some feedback on the show. Let me know what you guys are liking. What some of the things you might want to change, especially when we get into the Conspiracies with Pappy and some of our other platforms that we're going to do with the show, and the Adventures with Pappy, which is going to be the video series. So in order to stay on top of that one, you're going to need to subscribe to my channel, Ryan is Pappy, on YouTube. Okay, takes 5 seconds out of your day, but then you get years and hours and hours of blissful happiness. Happiness. I like that. Take care, everybody. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to you listening again. Have a good one, y'all.
You don't like our traditions. You say we've done you wrong. Why don't you pack up your bags and take your ass back home? This is my home, and son, I'm mad as hell. I think whooping your ass is worth a couple nights in jail. There's a million pissed off rednecks just like me, and we're all sick and tired of this bullshit called PC. I guess you didn't know, but you don't mess with generally. If you have a right to burn my flag, then I have a right to kick your